TV or doing something, whatever it is, and you get up and you go to the kitchen, you go to the refrigerator, and you say, let me go get me a couple of crackers, and you go eat a couple of crackers, and that didn't do it. And well, I don't know, maybe I'll eat this. Well, there's a slice of cake over there. I'll get that and some ice cream, and that didn't do it. And well, dang, well, what in the world is it? I want something, I just can't put my hand on it. Y'all ever done that? Yeah, I want something, I just can't put my hand on. So maybe I'll pop me some popcorn. I love popcorn. I can eat popcorn every day, all day. So I'll just pop me a bowl of popcorn, and I'll sit here and watch this movie, and I'll enjoy this popcorn and this nice cold drink. And that didn't do it. What in the world is it? I can't put my hand on it, because there's a longing in your spirit for the things of God, and for the very, not so much the things as it is the very presence of God. Your spirit is beckoning unto God, saying, I need you. They're trying to fill themselves up and satisfy themselves with all these touchable, tangible things, and it has nothing to do with their natural being. This is the cry of the spirit saying, God, I gotta have you. I've been through so much in my life. I've been through, doing this and doing that, and this showed up and that showed up, and I wasn't looking for it, oh God, and my spirit is crying out to you. And because we are not operating on that frequency at that moment, we're trying to fulfill that thing with something tangible. Well, maybe I need to go talk to my husband. I'll go sit down and talk with him. And when you go talk with your husband or you go talk with your wife, they say something silly, and then you go sit down and say, I should never have been going in there anyway. You ever been there? Yeah, let me go talk to my mom. I can tell her because she knows, or let me go talk. I'm going to talk to Kristen. I tell you, let me go talk to Kristen because, Frank didn't even answer that right. Let me go tell Kristen. And I go flouncing in there and I tell Kristen, and her words line up with the same way that Frank's word line up. I said, well, so then I go someplace else, because the longing that was in me was not fulfilled. It wasn't satisfied because it wasn't in the natural. There's a reality to longing, and we've got to recognize what longing truly is and what is longing in us at that particular time. Reality deals with accepting the truth for what it is, regardless as to how you feel about it. It doesn't matter what your spouse said or didn't say. Doesn't matter what your children did or didn't do. Face the reality. Sometimes when we get bent out of shape and we get caught up in our feelings and our emotions, and people just don't understand, and we walk around and we walk away and say, I tell you what, I don't want it. Why couldn't they get it? You got to face the reality of that longing within you. They couldn't get it, and they couldn't answer the way you wanted them to because it wasn't in them to. What you needed was from God, not from a person. Sometimes God will give you something through a person. He will. But you don't decide when God's going to speak to you and who he's going to speak to you through. He decides. But sometimes he just wants you with him. It's just you and him. So we long. We've got a persistent emotional desire or a craving for something or someone or a state of being that is absent or is distant or it's unattainable at that time. We reach. Rather than reach up, we reach out. We reach out for things. We reach out, and sometimes we reach down. We're going to try to pull up that old dead mess that God done delivered us from, but because it was familiar and we can't figure out anything else, we'll reach down and try to pull up that stuff that God says, no, that's not for you. So longing can be bittersweet. It's a combination of pain and it's a combination of pleasure. It will help you to recognize incompleteness, but it'll also give you hope. And it'll connect you to love. You have that ache for someone or something that now is just a memory. Right now, you may not have a boyfriend, so you long, but you want a boyfriend. Oh my gosh, so what you do, or you want a girlfriend. So what you do is you go back to sorry Sam that you know was no good anyway. That's why you dropped him. That's why you dismissed him, but at least he was familiar, and at least he'll talk to you for a little while. So you'll go back to sorry Sam and try to hold a conversation with him or catch up with him. And he got the same old dead line he had back then. It didn't satisfy you then. How it's going to satisfy you now? It can't do it. Or you go on to bow-legged Betty, and she's still twitching around and twirling and trying to be all cute and think she's all that, but and a bag of chips. And she's so caught up in herself, so consumed in herself, you trying to get to know her, and she's still trying to get to know her. She's caught up in herself. You can't do it. You can't do it. So in the Bible, longing says that it's a spiritual yearning or thirst for God's presence, for God's righteousness, for God's eternal promises. It's God-given desire for communion with himself. That's what he's looking for. He's looking for communion with himself. And so when we look at the book Psalms 84, very familiar passage of scripture, and it says, how lovely is your dwelling place, O Lord of heaven's armies. I long, yes, I faint with longing to enter the courts of the Lord. That first thing we got to do is recognize what the longing is for and who the longing is to. You're longing for God, and you're longing for his presence. You can sing all day long. You can be the most powerful prayer warrior there is. You can be the greatest orator there is, and you can preach the tithes down. You can do all of that. But aside from God's presence, it's just a bunch of words. It's just a bunch of words, bunch of jargon. It's just gibberish. Because it takes the spirit to quicken the word. The Bible says the letter without the spirit is death. That's the word. That's the Bible. The Bible says the letter of the word without the spirit is death. So we need the Spirit of God. We need his presence. So we got to long for his presence. I can tell just as good when I hadn't been in his presence enough. You ought to be able to. I can tell just as good when I'm thirsting after him. You can get so busy. You can get so caught up in what you're doing. Oh, you got to open the child care center. You got to make sure you do the administrative work. You got to make sure you take the after school class. Then you got to get the infants class. Then you got to do the school board stuff. Then you got to do this. You got to do that. You got to do that. I can tell just as good when I've gotten so caught up and consumed with all the natural things, and my soul is longing and thirsting after God. Because if we don't make sure that the soul gets nourished and get nurtured and get replenished, you can cancel Christmas. You can count all that other mess dung. It doesn't matter. Nothing will really work out the way you want it to. Something will happen. You'll send in a report and you forgot this part on it. You'll get ready to give instruction and you can't find your lesson plan. You'll get ready to go and minister to FCA and the children. Where my children? Where everybody else? All this stuff will be happening because God has been pulling you and drawing you to himself, and for whatever reason, we hadn't gotten there yet. The reality of longing, we got to know what longing really is. The psalmist says he yearns. I long. The psalmist longs for God so much that he gets jealous of the birds. Because in verse 3, he says, even the sparrows find a home, and the swallow birds build their nests and raise their young at a place near your altar, oh God. Come on now. The birds have figured this thing out. We can't figure it out, and we're humans. We got the mind, the intellect, the wisdom, the knowledge, the understanding. We can't figure out that God is pulling us and we're longing for him, but the birds got enough sense to make their habitation right there at his altar. Right there at the altar of God. We ought to always have an altar You ought to always be erecting an altar. I don't care where you are. In the bathroom, when you're sitting on the throne, you ought to be erecting an altar. In the bedroom, there ought to be an altar. In the den, in the room where you got your game system set up, you ought to have an altar erected. Everywhere you go, in the car, there ought to be a place where everybody, the presence of the Lord comes in there so mightily and so powerfully and floods that place that before you know it, everybody throw their hands up and they start weeping. Because we need God. Things can happen to us to such a degree that we'll get desperate for him. We'll get desperate for him. What joy for those who can live in your house, O Lord, always singing your praises. That's why we sing his praises when we come here. It's joy. It brings joy to our souls. It helps to satisfy the longing within us. We don't always have to drop down on our knees in a formal prayer when God is beckoning unto us. We can do it anywhere, in any circumstance. What would you say is the longing in your heart right now? Is it, I wish my husband would get in line? Is it, I wish my wife, is it that I want a husband? You know, some people who are single may be longing and yearning for a husband. They've been single for a while. If you've been single for a while and you're now married, you longed for one. You longed for a spouse. You yearned for a spouse. I did. I'm not ashamed. Yes, after a while, after 30 years, oh yeah, it's time. It's time. So I longed for a husband, somebody to share my life with, somebody to build a home and a family with. I was doing quite well by myself, but it was lonely. Come on, somebody. Come on, somebody. There were times that it was lonely, and there were times that I was alone. Come on. There's a difference. Sometimes it was lonely, and I've heard so many people say, well, who are single, well, I got Jesus as my husband. Yep. Jesus is not married to this. Jesus ain't married to our flesh. And it's our flesh longs and yearns and desires and craves. Ain't nowhere in the Bible said Jesus told us to kill this. He ain't marrying this. He said kill it. Why? Because the longing and the yearning of this will draw you away from him. That's why we gotta satisfy our soul and our spirit with him, because it'll bring the flesh under. Come on, y'all. I've been single. It will bring the flesh under. So listen, the heart is the causal core of your personhood. It's the steering wheel of your life. Your heart is the steering wheel of your life. You'll follow your heart. That it steers you in whatever direction you go in. It directs whatever you're longing for. It guides and speaks to you and tells you what you should have. Like in the book of before I go there. What we mistakenly do is we try to satisfy hunger with human acceptance. We want to be accepted. Oh my gosh, one thing about my daughter when she was young and coming up, and she would always say, she would look at all these people with friends. She would always say, I want a friend. I want a friend. You know, when she was coming up and when she grew up here, she was up here, and the girls for a season, there were girls of her age. There was Takavia, and there was Tanasia, and there was Betty's daughter, and they were all similar age. But that season shifted. And then she was up here, and then there was Destiny and Watoria and all the little girls. And when you saw Kristen, if she laughed and grinned and talked with anybody, it was with them. And she used to say, I want a friend. I want somebody. There was a longing in her for that type of companionship, to have a friend. And people would tell her, and I would tell her, and the pastor would tell her, and the youth pastor would tell her, God will give you a friend. Pray and ask God to give you a friend. And I think she probably did once or twice, but she really wanted the other friend. She wanted those friends who could hang out. She wanted those friends who had no perimeters around their lives, no barriers put in place. She wanted those friends who could go to the games and just grin and not worry about what time to come home, or go here and go there and get caught up in all kinds of things. That was the longing in her. She didn't recognize it really wasn't the longing in this. It was the longing of her soul for the Lord, but she thought she is satisfied with this. And it never worked. It never, ever, ever works. God has created us, equipped us, and crafted us, and placed up a whole God-sized hole in us for himself. And nobody else and nothing else can satisfy it. So the longing that is within us sometimes can be misplaced, because rather than yielding to the pull of God, we'll try to satisfy it some other way. When we look at the book of Genesis chapter 3, and you look at verses 1 through 3, that's exactly what Adam and Eve did. Eve was longing. There was a longing, because see, God would come down and he would walk with them and he would talk with them in the garden in the cool of the day. And God would satisfy them and make sure that they were fulfilled. Not only was he in heaven governing, but he came down to the earth. He loved them just that much. He left heaven and came to the earth to make sure that their needs were met. But when you take your focus off God and you turn it to something else, when your focus is not on God, now I'm not saying you can't think about other things and enjoy other things. And look, I'm not saying that. I'm talking about your sole focus. When it's not on God, you'll turn to the counterfeit. And so Eve turned to the counterfeit. And the counterfeit, which was the enemy, and the counterfeit, because he had captured her attention, and he learned by observing her behavior what she was missing and what she wanted, because there's a difference between what you long for and what you want. There's a difference between longing and wanting. Wanting is temporary. Wanting, say, I want a Pepsi. I mean, really. I want a nice cold Pepsi. I get that Pepsi, I'm fine. That wasn't a longing, that was a want. Eve was dancing around the tree, wanting something, and couldn't put her finger on it. Number one, she wasn't talking to God. So when she cut her connection with God, she opened herself up for the adversary. Number two, she wasn't under the governance of her husband, because he was out doing his own thing and she was out dancing under the tree, walking with the devil in the pale moonlight. She was out there talking with Satan, entertaining his company. And so because she entertained his company and opened herself up, he gave her what she wanted. He says, you know how smooth guys are? He says, yay. Has God really said that you should not eat from any of the trees in the garden? You know how we get. When he looked at us, I like those shorts you got on. Oh, you're cute. You're cute. Where are you from? I live here in Eden. We get all weak-kneed and get all cute. Don't recognize that the devil is talking to us because we were longing for one thing, but we turned to another. And so she sat up there and entertained him and entertained his company, and he started talking to her. And then he captivated her to such a degree, she altered her confession. She altered her testimony. If you change your confession, you will alter your testimony. And if you alter your testimony, he'll rob you of your inheritance. You can't do it. You can't do it. I don't care who Slick Rick is or Freaky Freddy is or Bowlegged Betty. You cannot be caught up, because I'm going to tell you something. And that's not just for young people. That's for older people. Even for married people, when you turn your attention to somebody who can always say what you need them to say, and you're caught up in their conversation, and you forgot your spouse was standing right there beside you, there's a problem. There's a problem. You forgot somebody else. You got more conversation for somebody else than you do your own spouse. That's a problem. There's a longing in you, and you're for what your spouse has. If it wasn't, God wouldn't have put you together. But you're going to turn to this way, and you're going to talk to somebody who ain't never been married, who's not stable, who's not even entertaining company right, and certainly not serving the Lord, but you're going to give them all your attention. You can't, you leave them for the moment. Oh, you grow. Oh, yeah. Oh. And when you turn and you leave, when you go home, you're more empty than you were. Because that person who wasn't designated to deposit in you made a deposit, but they couldn't shoot nothing but blanks. They were shooting blanks. They were shooting blanks. And so we got to make sure that we understand. So he said, we're not supposed to eat what she did. So the woman became convinced, the Bible says. The tree was beautiful. Well, I did lose about 5 pounds. I do look kind of nice in this. I hadn't worn it in a while. Gosh, I can't believe I got back in that dress. We get caught up in all of that. Oh, well, I like your haircut. I like the way you groomed your beard and your mustache. Well, we get caught up in all that stuff. We get caught up in it, not knowing that it's subtle, the subtleties of the adversary. I tell you what, you can be in the pulpit. You can be in the pulpit, and some uncircumcised Philistine who's sitting in the pulpit with you will try to come on to you right in the pulpit. How you going to make a deposit in me? You're not authorized to deposit in me. And number one, you don't know my God. The longing that I have is for the true and living God. He's the only one who can satisfy. And so we got to make sure we stay in place. So at that moment, their eyes were open. And she was convinced. And she believed. And she received. And what happened? Not only did she mess up herself. Not only did she mess up her husband. She also messed up her children. We got to be careful. We got to be careful. When we gravitate to the wrong thing to fulfill or satisfy that longing that is within us. See, because the longing that we have is for God and for the things of God. And when God, the Bible says, David said, God, I know when you grant a blessing, it's an eternal blessing. So when he deposits in us, it ain't for you. It's for that that's in you. It's for your seed. A woman carries at least 3 generations in her womb. So what Eve did, she sold herself out. She sold her husband out. She sold her children out. That's why Cain rose up and killed his brother. And she sold all of us out. What we do does affect other people, whether we believe it or not. When you don't fulfill and yield to the longing of the Lord that is within you, and you yield to something that's touchable and tangible, you're selling your family short. In 1 Samuel, there was a man named Elkanah, and he had 2 wives. Oh, he thought now come on, somebody. He thought he was king man. He had 2 wives, Hannah and Peninnah. Oh, he had it going on because he could be with either one of them whenever he got ready. But there was a longing in him. I don't know how to say it. We need to make sure that we even keep our spouses in the right place. We cannot allow them to assume the place where God has for himself in our lives. So he was going from one spouse to the other. He was loaded here and loaded there. The only thing is Peninnah could produce and Hannah could not. So there was a longing in him. That's why he was turned into 2 wives trying to satisfy something. Why? What was his longing? His longing was for the things of God because he needed God to deposit in him, because where he was fruitful in one area with Peninnah, he was unfruitful and barren with Hannah. They put it on Hannah, but he didn't bring forth nothing either. So in her eyes, he, I need you. She was longing for something. She wanted a son. Why did she want a son? She wanted to give a son to the Lord. And he wasn't able to help her to do that. So she was longing. She went to the temple and she cried and she prayed and God answered. But then Peninnah was longing because she and Hannah were fighting, competing against each other for genuine love. You don't have to fight and compete with nobody for genuine love. Embrace the love that God has for you. I guarantee you, I'm telling you from experience, if you will embrace the love that God has for you, he'll make sure you get the natural love that you want. He will. He'll make sure he brings the right person in your life to love you that way. But you got to get this love right first. You got to. Okay, so then that was that. Okay, he had the nerve to say to Hannah, aren't I better to you than 10 sons? He was caught up in himself. You know what Hannah was as good as saying? No. You know what she did? She went to church. Come on. She went to church. She went to the house of God to get her need met. That's what we need to do. We go to God to get our need met. To recognize that longing within us is from him. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. There are some places in your spouse. Let me tell you something. God gave me this revelation a long time ago. There's a place in you that your spouse cannot dare trod. And even if he could, he wouldn't have enough courage to go there because it's so deep. It's only for God. Same thing with the woman. For the husband for the woman. It's for God. There are places that are in you. That's why we can't try to fulfill these places with men and with women. And we want to run from boyfriend to boyfriend, from boyfriend to girlfriend to girlfriend to girlfriend. They can't satisfy. Come on, honey. Y'all, let's just be honest. That 5-minute quick fix won't do it. Oh, y'all ain't talking. That 5-minute quick fix won't do it on either part. It takes God. And I guarantee you 5 minutes with God will change it all. Y'all just got it. Oh, yeah. Come on, son. Listen. The Bible, he said in verse 5, blessed are those whose strength is in you, whose hearts are the highways to Zion. Zion means my heart is a highway to God, and my heart is running after you. When people name, I got a nephew named Zion. They may call him Zion, however they pronounce it, but it's still Zion. We got our daughter, we got our dog baby here named Zion. We know other people named Zion. You know what Zion means, but they don't have a clue what Zion means. They named their children Zion because they thought it was cute or they knew somebody. They don't understand. Zion means my heart runs towards you, God. I'm longing for you, Lord, and you're the only one who can satisfy. I know our Zion, who's very instrumental in the FCA, is realizing and recognizing that she loves gymnastics. My understanding is she'll flip anywhere. And that's fine, but she knows there's something deeper than gymnastics. And she gets all those medals, and she gets all first place and second place and overall first place and all those accolades and that's fine. There's not one thing wrong with that, but she knows there's something deeper than that. She knows that is not going to carry her where she needs to go. She knows. That's why she's so instrumental in FCA. That's why she's got such a word in her mouth. Torah loves children and works with the children and does well with the children. And we know she's going to have a house full of children one day. We already know that. Ain't no need for the parents not to pray. We already know that. But she knows there's an element in her that even children won't satisfy. As parents, we know that. We love our children. We'll do anything for our children. And our children sure do feel our heart. But there's a place in our heart that even our children can't satisfy. Because it's for God. She knows that at the appointed time, God is going to give her the husband who is worthy of depositing children in her. Everybody can't deposit children. Don't let, everybody ain't got no right to go through those gates. Mm-mm. No. The person that's supposed to enter those gates has already been predestined, and it won't be anything or anybody. And don't run after them. One thing that always got me, and I'm going to tell you something about me now. Y'all know a little bit about it. Look, monitor the time. How much time I got? Plenty? Okay. All right. Okay, monitor. Okay. All right. So listen, let me tell you something. And I know I can be, honest. I know I'm going to tell you about me. I'm going to tell you about my own story. And see, you look at preachers and you look at mamas and you look at daddies and you think we're trying to make you live a life. I'm talking to everybody. You think we're trying to make you live a life that's unobtainable for you. No, we're not. We're trying to get you to live the life that is attainable for you so that you don't get shipwrecked with the stuff we got shipwrecked with. That's what we're doing. We're trying to help you get out of trouble and not have to climb up out of stuff that we got ourselves in and took years to get out of it. And some of us are still trying to get out of it. Oh, yeah. Come on. Because we didn't recognize the longing. Because we didn't understand the reality of the longing. Because we weren't saved. Can I tell you the best thing you could have done in your life is gave your heart to Jesus? Can I tell you that? And so now when you got your gates, you're a receiver. When you open up and receive, you'll receive from the one that God has predestined you to receive from, because anything else is a foreign seed. They don't have any business deposited in you. And boys, men, young men, there's a place that is already predestined for you to deposit in. So you can't get up and deposit into any and everything either. Come on, we always talk to the girls. We got to balance this thing out. Because see, some of our men, and I know I'm not putting you on the spot, but I got to tell you because God told me to tell you. Some of our young men have been dropping it in everything. Bam, 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 bam. And leaving evidences of it. Seed here, seed there, seed there, seed here, seed there. And that's why we've got children who are siblings, but not by the same parents. That's not what God called y'all to. It'll never happen. It'll never, ever, ever happen. We may